Okay, so I went and got a toothpick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this stencil and I'm just going to kind of make sure it's still kind of molded. Each of these 4 is still kind of molded to this. So this one's fine. This one looks pretty good. You can kind of tidy it up a little bit, neaten the edges a little. You can even use your toothpick to like trim some of it if you want, but you want to keep it very close to that same size as the stencil. So that one looks pretty good, so I'll put it off to the side. Next one here, I'm just going to go through these and, like I said, kind of neaten up the sides, cut away anything that's kind of messy. Just kind of use my fingers. I can use a touch of water and kind of smooth it out. I don't want too much water on it, but just a little bit here is fine. That one looks pretty good. I'm going to put that to the side. And this one here, line this up on here. Press it down. I can, again, kind of trim it and make it tidy. Awesome. This one got a little bit bigger over here, so I'm going to cut that off and just tidy those up. These 2 were at kind of close to the bottom of the bag, so they were a little bit more beaten up. So they're going to take a little bit more sort of reshaping and love. That one looks pretty good. I'll place it over here. And then finally this one, which is very beat up. So I may even want to roll this out again with my rolling pin. Got a little bit messed up here, but that's okay. So I'm going to bring my taco holder tracer back here. I'm going to kind of flatten this a little more. And then I'm going to cut these extra sides off, holding that stencil down so it doesn't shift around. A bite out of this here, so I'm gonna just add a little bit more wet clay into there and kind of just press it in and neaten it back up there. Get that corner back. You can turn it over, work on it on this side a little too. Just try to have that pretty neat. And I'll make that at the bottom because that's not as nice of a corner. Little touch of water to kind of neaten things out a bit here. And then at this point, I'm ready to start to construct my W. So I'm going to put the taco holder tracer over to the side. I'm going to move any of my little pieces of clay out of the way. I'll need those later. At this point, I'm going to use this sheet. This should be in with your tracers. This one is, it kind of shows you the W's on here, the W, exactly what we want it to look like. So it's kind of light on there. I don't know if you can see it, but this here, it's all sized out perfectly and it's measured out for you. We want it to be like 4 7/8 inches long. You don't have to worry about the sizing as long as you have the sheet. It's sized for you. So we'll actually construct right onto this sheet. So I'll put it over to the side for now. We're going to use it, keep it right there with you though. So I'm going to take 2 of these and I'm going to connect them at the bottom. So in order to connect them at the bottom, I'm going to take a snake of clay, of the wetter clay, and a really thin one. You want it to be pretty thin. And you want it to be, you can kind of just roll it out along your table there. You want it to be the length of the whole slab here. So that's a little bit bigger. I can actually cut some of this off. And then we're going to press this right into place. So we're going to keep it there in between them, and we're going to kind of press this right into place here, okay? We're going to use that clay to help us get it pressed together. So once it's kind of pressed there, it's not holding quite yet, but then I'm going to use one of my smoother tools to kind of smooth this into the slab on my right, and then use some of it to smooth into the slab on the left too. Basically at this point we want to make these 2 slabs into one slab. So we're going to use this extra clay that was the coil here to help us do that. So I did that. You know, there's all sorts of smoothing tools, so whatever one you've got there, kind of use it in a way to get this clay coming into itself so it really just becomes one piece. And I'm supporting it with my hand, my non-dominant hand, as I use my dominant hand to kind of fix this up. This tool is kind of nice because you can kind of press it flat so if it loses its shape, this tool will help get that back. Now I'm going to flip this over for now, and again I'm kind of just pressing it there. I'm not going to use any more clay here because I want to avoid having any air bubbles here, but I am going to press this together. I'm going to use a little bit of water in there along that seam. Not a ton of water, just a little bit, and really kind of smooth that together until they kind of pinch together as one. So as I do that, I can use my smoothing tools again, whichever smoothing tool you end up with, this one's fine too, and kind of get them to come together. Actually, this tool is kind of nice because you can carve away any extra clay if you want to. That's kind of nice. It helps you get a nice edge there, nice sort of angle. And then we'll do that at the sides here too. So I'm going to just kind of flip this over and smooth out this side here so it all becomes kind of one. And then from here, we really want to get this particular angle with our clay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually line this up on the V and just sort of work with it until it starts to get that particular angle throughout. And the reason this is the angle we're working with is because I brought in taco shells and measured them, and this should work well with your taco shells, this angle. So I'm going to leave this up here, just out of the way, and I'm going to work on the next one. Same thing here, bringing these two together. This was my kind of beat up piece, so I need to maybe use a little bit more love connecting them. So again, another rolled out coil. So you can start by coming between your hands like that, and then don't do it between your hands too long because your hands will dry it out. You want to kind of move quickly. If you roll forever on this, you're going to have a really brittle coil and it's going to break apart. So then I'm going to bring this between here. Again, it's a little too long here, so I'll just snip some of that off. Okay. Then I'm going to bring this here and I'm going to press them together again. Okay, and then, you know, kind of smoothing out again with this tool. If you have this tool, you can kind of share these at your table. This tool is kind of nice to get that shape back. You know, you can kind of press it to the tool. As you do this, you may end up causing cracks in places you've already smoothed out, so go back and kind of neaten those up a bit as you go. Here on the end, I really want to smooth this out on the end here. Same here. Smoothing that out on the end. And then, you know, any repairs I need to make. I don't love how this looks here. I've got kind of a little bubbly place, so I'm going to just kind of take a little bit of clay and smooth it into place there. Just kind of neatening it up. I don't want to ever use too much clay when I do that because, you know, that can have air underneath it, so I just use little bits at a time. And then once I get it pretty good, it's pretty good right now, then I'm going to bring this whole setup back over here and I'm going to put this V next to this V. okay? And at this point, we've made another V in the middle. So we're gonna need another coil for that here. So let me just move this up a bit. Another coil for that here. So grab some more clay, roll it out. Again, not in between your hands for too long. At this point, the clay's starting to get a little more dry as it's out in the air. So I'm actually, touching my hands and touching the drier clay, because these are a little bit drier because they were in your bag. So at this point, I'm going to use a little water along here. And I'm going to press these together. So I'm actually keeping them on the paper, so I keep that shape, but I'm kind of pinching along the middle of that W. I'm starting by pinching that so it becomes like one. And then I'm going to get this little coil into the center there, like I did before. And I'm just going to kind of put my hand on the back and then on the front too, and kind of press this coil into that space and really kind of get it in there. And then I'm going to use my toothpick to just slice it at the top. So now I can go back to one of these smoother tools, and I can come in here in the middle, and I don't know if you can see this here, what I'm doing, but I'm just going to smooth this to the left, smooth it to the right, but like at the same time, you know, you can go back and forth until it feels really smoothed. And share the tools, you know, maybe this one comes in here and helps you smooth that clay a little more, or this one's a nice one in here, kind of get it. And then lift this back up, turn this around to myself, and I'm going to do that along this seam too. So along this seam, I'm going to kind of pinch it, and a little water in here. I'm just putting a little water in there, pinching it together, really trying to get rid of any air bubbles that are in there. And then I'm going to smooth that real well together. Again, is really nice for this, for kind of coming in and making sure this is all doing what it needs to do here. And then, is it standing up well? Is it sagging? You know, you can take it off of here. You'll have to bring it back on there later, but smooth this in the middle here, on the sides. And then just take some time kind of tidying it, you know, like you want the angles to stay just like this here. You want to keep them these angles, but you know, you can come back on and flip them around and work on making them a little neater and kind of spend your time getting it nice and tidy. Really try not to lose those angles. And we don't want them to fall. So once you feel pretty good about it everywhere, then we're going to actually put our name and class code on it. So you can put your name and class code kind of along the bottom here with a toothpick. Ms. Get that in there, make sure it's really clear for me, B34 or whatever. And then this is going to dry standing on here. So I'm going to ask that you take this whole setup and bring it, like including the little piece of paper, and bring it over to the counter where I show you and stand them up like this. And kind of, you know, once you stand it up on the counter, you can kind of check in with it and say, like, is it exactly how I want it? You know, do I want this to kind of angle out a little? Is it right along those V's? And you can kind of look on both sides. Make sure it's along those V's, and you're going to leave it on the counter just like this. It's going to go into the kiln like this, but it's going to dry for a little while first before I put it in the kiln. It actually has to dry out completely in order for me to put it in the kiln, but it's going to dry like this for a little while. And then as far as the rest of the cleanup, you'll come back over to your table. So let's say this is on the counter. You'll come back over to your table, and you've got still that base of your truck, which we may need to make that again for some of you, because I know mine's gotten a little bit beaten up, but we'll see how that goes for next class. You're going to put the sides of your truck and the front of your truck. You can put them side by side on top of that bed of the truck here. Lay them back down in here. Then we're going to, in order to close it this time, because these have already dried out a little, we don't really want them to dry out anymore. So we're going to kind of get all the air out of the bag, and then you're going to twist. Once you've gotten all the air out of the bag, oh, there's still some air in my bag. I get it all the way out. Then I'm going to twist, twist, twist. Okay, so I'll show you that again. We twist, 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 okay? Then you're going to fold it. So you can see it's almost like a little, I don't know, loop here. With that loop, take that elastic that was there that I gave you at the beginning. If you lost your elastic, there's more on the clay table. You can help yourself. And you're going to go around this loop enough time so that it's tight. Try not to break it. Like, that's probably enough for me. And you know, you'd want to double check that your name and class code was still on your bag. I'm sure it is. Hasn't been taken off, but double check. And then this is going to get handed in where I explained to you that yours gets handed in too. And then it's cleanup time, so the rest of this stuff gets put away, and we've got the V for our tacos. Good job.